Hello, everyone, and welcome to Los Angeles Sex Therapy Team Video Interview Series founded by Moushumi Ghose, AMFT. In this series, we introduce you to our therapists and coaches so you can get to know them on a more personal level by seeing them, hearing their voices, and learning more about their unique approaches to this work. I'm your host, Jamie Azar, sex, relationship, and intimacy coach at Last and founder of Erotic Expressions. And today we're joined by Beth Kiacz, who will be sharing insights into their philosophy and the way they support clients. Welcome, Beth, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to just like share and chat and have this time together.
Well, I'm excited to be here with you today, and thanks for making the time to share a little bit more about you and your work. So I'm curious, what inspired you to initially become a sex therapist?
Yeah, so years ago, like when I was going through my own journey of understanding my queerness and my sexuality, apart from my religious upbringing and programming, I really wish I had someone I could have gone to and been like, what do I do? How do I step away from all these ideas I was brought up around? How do I kind of like decenter men? How do I do all these things? And without even knowing what that was back then. And there's a moment where I was like, well, I guess I could be that person in the world, like the queer, non-binary, post-religious human that could support folks through that journey and to really understand how confusing that can be, and just wanted to be there and do that for folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for sharing. It sounds like it started out very personal to you and with your own personal journey and seeing that there was a lack of support for you and people that you could go to and talk to and find community and belonging with and understanding. And so, you know, taking that with you on your journey and deciding, hey, you know, it sounds very courageous for you to be like, I can be that person, right? And now doing that in your life. And I'm curious how you feel kind of starting out more on that personal journey allows you to show up in your work now.
Yeah, I really think it, well, you know, I was from the Midwest, so I think it really also connecting into folks from those spaces and really allows me to be able to, just show up in these unique ways. And I even, I come from a background of a creative work, and I had a whole career in corporate world and in the creative arena. So I think that even kind of comes in with support of like just really thinking outside the box, thinking outside of society, really bringing in those social justice aspects and making sure it like really getting into the gray of things versus the black and white, which I think is a lot of times what society, you know, imposes on us. And so I think that's where it really shows up in the room with me, of like really being able to like, let's break down all these thought processes and the narratives we're given and really lean into some new potentials. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I heard you mention a lot around breaking the norms and the scripts, the religious, the social, cultural conditioning, gender norms, conditioning, scripts around sexuality, and really all of that infusing into the work that you do now, and how you work with people and kind of undoing some of the harmful conditioning, and finding new ways to express themselves, and also that piece of creativity, right, which is so important to imagine to your work and with your clients, and the social justice piece you mentioned. So that's profound, and it feels very complex and vast, the work that you do.
Yeah, I even kind of joke that a lot of the sessions are like a brainstorm session. Most of the time it's just like really being like, let's just stay open and flowing with it all.
Yeah, would you say that's part of your unique approach to working with clients? Or what are some other ways that you would say you're unique in your approach to working with folks?
Yeah, I'd say that it really comes into the room a ton. I'm even like a very visual person, so I'll even be like, I'm kind of seeing it like this, like, does this resonate? You know, like even that hand motion, I feel like people see in session. And it just really allows folks to, like, I think having that artist mind in the room really helps to kind of keep things flowing and not getting stuck in one spot. It's like I always feel like there's a way to still work it, and still find a way out, in most situations. And it really, I also connect to the body and supporting folks in that way. So, and that's another unique piece is we'll get into what, like where the heaviness lives. Like even as you're talking, if you're sharing something that is really heavy, but you're laughing, it's like, okay, let's literally look at like what we're doing in these moments and how our body is showing up. So that's another piece that comes into it.
Absolutely. And I think that just aligns with what you shared about your creative approach, right? And the talk-based piece, but it sounds like you're also thinking symbolically and narrative, right? In narrative and really getting into the somatics, like you said, in the body and how is that showing up in your body right now, and bringing folks back to that piece of embodiment and exploring what's coming up for them in creative and artistic ways to move those feelings. It sounds like, and find some healing.
Completely. Yeah.
I love that. What would you say is one misconception that you have, or that like people have about sex therapy that you'd like to clear up?
Yeah. Oh, I think like the biggest thing is I think when I say I'm a sex therapist, folks think I'm going to be like a walking Cosmopolitan article, that I'm going to give these like tips and things like, and it's way more than that. I think a lot of times therapy will leave out how stress affects you from the waist down, because most of the time therapy is from the waist up. And even in a lot of articles you read, even somatically, you hear about how you're affected waist up and not waist down. When I feel like sex can be very much the canary in the coal mine, like if it's going away and there's changes, it could be due to menopause, hormonal changes. There's so many different things that could be going on, and it's nice to like have a place to come to and feel safe to share about it, because like so many times talking about those parts of our body, society's just like doesn't want to hear about it, or like people feel afraid to share it. And so sex therapy allows that to come in, and also that we handle everything. We can navigate anxiety, depression, anything really. Like we're therapists who have the foundation of a like training, but also a specialty. So I think that's something that folks don't always think about. They think that like, oh, I have to only go to a sex therapist for a very specific sexual thing, when it could be anything. And even not even in the relationship of intimacy, it could be about like having a miscarriage. It could be about like I work with a lot of folks who are in transition or sexual journeys. There's so many arenas where we can show up and support, and I think it's kind of like more of a holistic approach to therapy versus being like, we're only going to talk about this one little area. And a lot of therapists feel really uncomfortable talking about sex, like they will refer you out. So it's a nice way to just feel like you can talk about everything in the room and we'll be open to it.
Yeah. What would you say are some of those other holistic areas that you work with beyond sex, or within the realm of sex with your clients? Or are there certain, presenting challenges that you generally focus on with clients when they come to see you?
Yeah. Right now, especially with like the world we're in right now, a lot of things coming up is related to grief. I think that's something that people wouldn't think of with sex therapy, is navigating grief, navigating life changes, navigating, how things are going, like how to show up in the world right now. And that's all connected to our bodies and to our relationships and what we want. And so we can really get into all those pieces. Also, with hormonal changes as time goes on, people can suddenly be like, I'm married to in a cis het presenting relationship, but suddenly I'm exploring my queerness. Like I'm starting to feel these different things now, and I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And so it's kind of like how to really get into these topics that feel like really taboo, I think, in a way, but like it's like a place to go to for all of it, not just the taboo too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just what's coming to me as you share that is like maybe not even having an awareness that these other aspects of our lives are playing a part in, right, maybe sexual challenges that we're facing or dysfunctions, for example, or breakdowns in a relationship. So what I'm hearing from you is it's not just about sex, but you also work a lot with grief and life changes, whether that's menopause, for example, with some women, or people exploring their sexual identity or orientation or queerness later in life or throughout their life, or maybe in a cisgendered heterosexual relationship as well. Yeah. Or is there anything else you would add to that?
Yeah, it's actually, when you're sharing, it remind me, folks even, something I don't think they think about, but like boundaries and just understanding consent and what you want in a dynamic can be so huge, because that can show up in like folks who are experiencing erectile dysfunction or all kinds of different things. Like, I think a lot of times when folks come into the room, I'm kind of like, explain, like, share with me your experience of like some of intimacy. What is it like for you? Like, do you feel like you have to rush and do something you don't want to do? And that can lead to a lot of different anxiety, depression, dysfunction. And it allows it to really, and looking at it, help folks to feel seen in all aspects of their lives, not just only in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm curious, as you work with folks in session somatically, and as like they might be sharing and exploring some of their grief or these changes they're going through, like, do you find that they're able to more effectively navigate their bodies and nervous systems outside of session, and kind of that there are similar patterns in just talking about it and experiencing it? Or how does that kind of resilience build with your clients from the work you do somatically in session to beyond session?
Yeah, I've seen it with folks that if they can come into session and share these things that they feel very vulnerable about, then it can carry into outside the bedroom too. Like, it makes them more intimate in any conversation and any way of like holding space for them and their partner, or just themselves. And even like the boundaries, like if it comes through in the bedroom, they can come into all aspects of their lives. So it really, like, that's why I was saying earlier, it feels like the canary in the coal mine, because it's like, if you can get into the boundaries, all the different pieces that like you're afraid to do and say in this intimate space, it really trickles out into all arenas of your life, and kind of gives you like allows you to be bold in yourself too.
I love that. I love that. So Beth, what's something that you would say you really love about your work?
Yeah, well, I just like adore my clients. I really look forward to seeing them every week, and sitting with them in the human experience. It really just means so much to me to sit with them with all levels of life, from, like I was saying, from grief to happiness to supporting them through what might be feeling like this really big piece here, and seeing how it can trickle out and actually like they overcome it later on. Like, all these things are just so exciting, and what I love to do and why I show up each day, because I just want to be there and support the best I can in those spaces for them, and I love like being creative with them and seeing, like, really inviting in their imagination and how we can work on it together to come up with like solutions, if there is a solution. It doesn't have to have one, but just seeing how it can work out.
Yeah. Just hearing you, I when you said the adoration that you have for them, like, I got this huge feeling of love. I can sense that feeling and that adoration you have for them. And I personally get feelings of excitement just hearing you talk about this work. And I imagine it's empowering too, especially as you integrate that creative approach. And like you said, maybe we're problem solving, maybe we aren't, maybe we're exploring today, right? We're just asking questions and finding empowerment and excitement in that. And I think makes work feel a little more fun along the way too, right? It can be uncomfortable, and it sounds like a creative, collaborative process for you and your clients, which makes it a little a little more fun to come to session and look forward to. You know,
Yeah,
you've got someone willing to collaborate with you and see you in that way that you want to express yourself, or whatever modality you choose to heal for your clients.
completely. And it's so brave for folks to show up. And it's like, it's not something that I take for granted. You know, it's a lot of energy to be there, to show up each time. So yeah, I really see that and want to support the best I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would you say that you want clients to feel after having a session with you?
Yeah, well, you know, especially right now, I don't know, I think it's like the world we're in. I just want them to have a moment of like pause and safety, and a place where they can feel seen and maybe put down some of the things they're holding for a little bit, or like have someone they feel like actually can like co-hold it with them for a little while, especially since, you know, I primarily work a lot with like the queer, trans, non-binary communities and like the neurodiverse. And so it's like all three are really being looked at right now. And so to have a space where they can feel safe and be held for a little while also like looking at these bigger pieces, I think is huge. And I want them to be able to feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Thanks for sharing that. And, you know, I think, like you said before, it's looking at everything that's going on, right? And especially for your clients, trans, non-binary folks, queer folks, you know, who are especially dealing with the weight of the world right now, and having a place, like you said, to put that down, share some of that weight, find some safety and solace. That's powerful, powerful space, and a powerful place to be in with people, right? And like you said, to be witnessing them in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I've got one last question for you, a little fun here. So what's one hobby, passion, or fun fact that shapes who you are?
Yeah, so I have like a very witchy vibe to myself. I do rituals often that are incorporating in the witchy realms. I pull tarot every day. Sometimes even if folks are open to it, I even will be thinking like, oh, this is a very Seven of Swords moment. Like I'll pull it into session if, you know, they understand what that means. So I'm completely open and to have like the astrology talks, all the different things in the world. So I like to incorporate that in, if possible, to sessions too, or just like keep it in my own space. But really looking at the rituals and cycles of like life is really important to me, you know, and bringing that in.
I love that. Do you find that your clients are ever open to you bringing that in, like the tarot? Yeah, they're open.
Yeah. I somehow I do end up like, even though I don't think it's on my page, it's I end up with folks who are witchy adjacent, or will mention they're curious of exploring that realm or like the metaphysical in some way. So I'll really encourage that to come in and like feel safe to talk about it and not feel like they're going to get like judged for magical thinking, you know.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else, Beth, you want to share that we haven't talked about today, or that you're feeling called to share now?
I think mainly just like really excited to be able to put this out there to like help folks to understand sex therapy a bit more, and that it's really so inclusive and a place to bring in all the taboo thoughts that you feel like maybe you can't say out into the world, but like we can make safety and space for it together and just see what those can be. Because sometimes once you say it out loud, like I see a lot where folks are just like, actually that's not as big now that it's out of my head, you know, and just like really allowing folks to like live a more embodied existence, you know. So I appreciate this for that.
I love that. Yeah. Is there any place you'd recommend people go to find you, follow you? How can people connect directly with you and just get involved with you, your work, your offering?
Yeah, so you can go to lastcollective.org and see my profile up there. Or I'm also on Instagram at Galactic Seer. If you just want, I don't have a ton going on right now, but like it's a way to at least connect with me. I share resources a lot on there, especially for the queer, California and trans population, like if there's ways to kind of like connect to community and things like that. So you can follow me there for those resources.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Beth, again, for being here. It's been a pleasure learning about you and your work. And I will link both your profile page from Los Angeles Sex Therapy and your Instagram page in the comments to YouTube for folks that would like to see you. And thanks to everyone who tuned in for today. We hope that you enjoyed and learned more about Beth. And again, you can reach out to them on the Los Angeles Sex Therapy website, and stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be interviewing another Los Angeles Sex Therapy therapist and coach, and you can learn more about how to connect with our practitioners. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.